welcome to lesson 4 of this unit. And so we're looking at the percent equation today. So this is going to be pretty similar to what we did with the percent proportion. So the definition of the percent equation is actually an equivalent form of the percent proportion. The only difference with this one is it's going to be an equation format, and that the percent is actually written as a decimal. So if you notice, I'm actually going to take this back a second. So the part over the whole used to be equal to the percent over 100. Well, how do we take a fraction into a decimal? Well, you divide them out. So if I take this percentage and I divide it by 100, that's going to get me the percentage in decimal format. So really it's all the same thing. So here we're saying then that we have the part over the whole is equal to the percent, but here the percent is just a regular decimal because we've divided it by 100. So if you remember what we talked about earlier in the week with looking at decimals to percentages and percentages to decimals, if you take the percentage and put it into decimal format, you divide it by 100 and you move that decimal 2 places to the left. So we did that here, and so now we've written it as a decimal. Well, I want to rewrite this as more of an equation. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by the whole. And what that does is that's going to cancel out the whole on this side, but then over here I'm going to multiply it by the whole. And so if you remember a while back when we talked about some different multiplication things, I told you that the word of typically indicates multiplication. So that's what's happening here. If you take a percent of the whole number, the word of indicates multiplication. So then we have that the part is equal to the percent as a decimal times whatever the whole part is. And so that's what we're going to be plugging it into. This is our percent equation that we're going to be using to solve the problems today. So again, very similar. We're identifying 3 things. We're identifying the percent, the part, and the whole. One of those will be missing, and so that'll be the piece that we're going to replace with a variable. So let's go ahead and jump into an example. So we want 62% of 75. So example number 1, we're looking for 62% of 75. So what we're going to do here is we want to look at this equation. We want to have the part, which is equal to the percent, again as a decimal, times the whole. So remember that that word of indicates that that's the whole number. So in addition to being multiplication, that also indicates the whole. And then obviously this is our percentage. So we're missing the part here. So that's going to be our x. Now this is the percent as a decimal. So how do I move 62% as a decimal? It's 0.62. So remember, we just move that decimal. So it's 0.62, and then we're going to multiply that by the whole, which is 75. And so sometimes you'll have calculators for this or whatever, but for now, since we don't have calculators, let's go ahead and just do this by hand. So we multiply these out. Move our decimal in, and we end up with that the part is 46.5. So 62% of 75 is 46.5. Let's go ahead and try another one of these. Let's look at 45% of 70. 45% of 70. So again, we want to look at, do we know the part, the percentage, or the whole? Which 2 pieces of the 3 do we know? Well, we know that the of 70 indicates the whole, and we obviously know that this is a percentage. So we don't know the part, that's going to be our variable. We have to convert the percent to a decimal and then multiply it by the whole. So the part is our variable, the percent as a decimal is 0.45, and we're multiplying that by 70. So let's go ahead and multiply that out. So we have 0.45 times 70. I'm just going to go ahead and move this over. I can just bring down that 0. So then we get that the part is 31.5 out of 70. So half of 70, 50%, is 35. So you can kind of see that 45%, 31.5 makes sense because we were almost to halfway there. Now, just like we did with the other equations, or the percent proportion the other day, we can look at the other two formats of this. So this time we're missing the part. The next couple of times we're going to rotate through and determine what happens when we miss the percentage and when we're missing the whole. So let's look at two quick more examples. So this one's going to ask us 287 is what percent of 410? So obviously they're asking us about the percentage of 410. 287 is, so that's together, so 287 is our part. We don't know the percent, and we know that the whole is 410. So how am I going to isolate this variable? Well, if I rewrite this as 287 is equal to 410x, what do? I divide this out by 410. So I'm not going to sit here and make you divide that out currently. That is actually going to give us 0.7. Well, that's the decimal format of it, which gives us 70%. So you want to make sure that you convert that decimal into a percentage to finish it out. Then one more for this particular question. 15 is what percent of 125? So again, taking a look, we have the part, the whole, and the percent. It says what percent, so we are looking for the percent there. 15 is, so we're going to have 15 is equal to x times 125. If I rewrite that in our typical format, we would divide out by 125. And then we would find out that as a decimal, that's going to give us 0.12, which would then give us that it's 12%. And since these are all very similar, I'm just going to do one example of the last piece here. So 33 is 55% of what number? So again, 33 is, so that indicates the part, 55 is obviously the percent, and we're looking of what number is our whole. So we have 33 is, remember, percentage as a decimal, 0.55, and then we don't know what that number is. Now this time when we divide, we're going to be dividing by a decimal, and we're finding the whole. So our answer should be bigger than 33 because we're looking for the whole part. So that means 33 most of the time, unless it's 110% or whatever it is, but we know that it's 55%. So really this is going to be almost double because it's a little more than half. So when we divide this out and we do 33 divided by 0.55, we should end up with 60. And so that is our whole then, is 60. So again, very similar to the percent proportion from the other day. And so this is going to conclude and wrap up, and then we'll do some practice when we come to class.